Oh, hello, welcome to a special episode today. And by special, I mean it is not of the same quality and content as the other episodes. It's special. Hello, welcome to episode 32. The special Q&A, OnlyFans. Is OnlyFans a thing? Is that already taken? It's like in the TV series when they do that kind of clip show. Only this isn't a clip show. It's just me talking into the camera. I'm going to answer a load of questions that people put to me on Discord and Patreon. I have my questions written down. It's in this. It's called a book. There's lots of questions on there. Have a look. So obviously I'm prioritising my Patreon questions, but you know what? A lot of the questions overlapped, so I've kind of merged a lot together because you'll seem to be asking the same stuff. So here we go. What's the first question? Okay, just here. Why have you put OnlyFans on your thumbnail? Because this episode's only for fans of the show. Bill, what's with all the sound effects? Well, I mean, I was always taught and always believed that sound is half the video. You know, like you got your visuals and you got your sound. If you put in all that effort into shooting a nice shot, you need the sound to go with it. Like, see, look. It just makes everything more entertaining, and it is. 50% of film is sound, and if you ever watch a film, try and listen out for all the Foley sounds. That's all the sounds people have added in afterwards, like the rustle of material or the footsteps or a bit of wind in the leaves. It's the stuff you don't notice, but it's the stuff that makes the difference between a good video and a bad video. I guess the short answer is it makes the video more entertaining, I think. What's your favourite type of novel? I like sci-fi. I'm a big sci-fi novel nerd. I'm not one of those people that knows what to look for in a bookshop. I can't read the blurb on the back of a book and then kind of trust it, because I'd read the back of a book and it'd be like, this is an exciting thrill ride from beginning to end. You won't be able to put it down. I'm like, well, you would say that, wouldn't you? But yeah, I like to read. I read a lot. Well, I used to read a lot, and then I started making videos. I love The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Sci-fi, fantasy, I'm a nerd, big nerd. But so are you. What did I do before YouTube for a living? So the most recent job I had was producing videos for a company. They were corporate videos. Corporate means big company tells you what to do, no artistic integrity at all. That's what corporate means. I got to travel around the world. I saw a lot of interesting stuff. Got to go to a load of places that no one can go to normally. And I got to film all this really nice, interesting stuff. And had some nice meals. Just film what they want you to film and edit the way they want you to edit, which is probably why my edits are so weird now, because I can do what I want. Where did you learn your editing skills? I would like to say I learnt my editing skills on my jobs before, but to be honest with you, if you watch my first episode on YouTube, the editing's no way near as interesting as like the 4th or the 5th or the 6th. I've kind of learnt how to edit the way I want to edit by doing these YouTube videos. Like I said, with those jobs, those corporate jobs, you're not really let off the leash. So basically the last year. So how much of this sort of crafting were you doing before you started making videos? Not a lot, to be honest. I didn't do a lot of this stuff. I never really got into this tabletop gaming until the pandemic, till lockdown. I was interested in it when I was a kid, and we played 40k once or twice, a bit Necromunda. But Games Workshop is a middle class game, like poor kids, forget it. You will never get a squad together, Yeah, the only way I could get like a kind of a squad together was there was an old White Dwarf magazine on sale. This was back in the 90s. There's a White Dwarf magazine with a Necron on the front. I think when Necrons first came out, buying a magazine you get the free Necron. But the magazines were out of date. They were a couple of months old, and the Games Workshop guy said, like, you want to buy these? I'm selling them for £1 each, and they all still had the Necrons on the front. So I managed to buy 10 of those and get 10 Necrons together. But that was about all I could ever get. So no, I couldn't really afford tabletop gaming when I was a kid, but I did watch a lot of Art Attack, and I used to keep card and paint and glue, and I used to make all sorts of stuff with toilet tubes. But more recently, I did a few props for films, weathering, a lot of weathering techniques to like age weapons and clothes and bags, like just weathering techniques to make stuff look a bit more authentic. Since starting your YouTube channel, what was the biggest mistake besides dropping your camera and showing your face to the internet? Silly things, like the episode where I made this pound store lorry terrain. I kind of spilt a whole jar of water over my electronics on the table. Nearly electrocuted myself. That was a big mistake. I nearly gassed myself. Something to do with like mineral spirits and Vaseline in a small enclosed space does not work well. I had a headache for days. That was a big mistake. So you have a baby girl now. Will there be girly projects, rainbows and unicorns, etc.? I have a son too, but you know what? He probably wants unicorns more than she will. I want to get into Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I think it'd be a good thing for kids to get into, and then we can all kind of build stuff together and play on the table, set up our own stories. So if she wants to have unicorns in that, you know, and rainbows, then there. Probably won't make videos about it. I lose my macho audience. You know what I'm talking about. Tell me about your music making. I'm not really a musician, but it came out of necessity, really. Like YouTube will give you a strike if you play any music that sounds similar to anything that's ever been created. So I didn't want any strikes, or, you know, just for a video to be demonetized because you spend a long time on that video and then you get zero from it. So I just said, you know, I make my own music. And I kind of got into it. I use apps on my phone, sample apps, like record samples in, and you can repeat them in like a rhythm. I don't know, there's a million apps like that. I'm not going to tell you exactly which one I use because you probably end up making songs that sound exactly like mine. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. I just needed something to play in the background of a shot, like all the way through, something that was kind of easy to ignore. But people commented and they like the music, so... How do you organise your time to make sure you upload regularly? And I think I do. Look, my son goes to nursery 4 days a week. So those 4 days a week I have from 9 till 3 in the afternoon to try and get as much work done as possible in here. But that doesn't always happen. I've got a daughter now, so it's getting harder and harder to do. And my videos are getting more and more complicated. And I'm sure the projects are going to get bigger. So no, I couldn't tell you how I organise my time, because I don't think I do. If you are forced to start a sitcom with 4 other YouTubers, who and why? I was going to say Craftsman and Cajun Craftastrophe, Tinu, but they're 2 puppets. So it'd be like Sesame Street, like a craft in Sesame Street. Probably Gert from Dark Matter Workshop. He can be like Grouch in the bin. Is he called Groucho? You know the bloke in the bin that's all grouchy all the time, scares all the kids away. That could be him. And Studson Studio, I guess. He can be a disembodied head that floats around, you know, his little avatar that flies around and sings songs for everyone. And I can just be the straight guy that stands there and just, you know, stands there bored. How did you do that bloody Halloween title? I assume you're talking about this. And not just saying like that bloody title, bloody, being bloody. Yeah, I assume you mean bloody as in the red blood that turns into the... Look, I can just show you a quick video here. This is how I did it. Have you tried making your own molds? Yes. Yeah, I made some molds before I started filming myself doing stuff. That sounds really weird, doesn't it? But yeah, before I started doing the YouTube channel, I made some molds. I made them with this stuff, actually. This kind of pound store silicone sealant. And I'm going to do it again. Stay tuned. So what's your favourite thing that you've built so far? It always seems to be the last thing I built. Because, you know, I'm learning as I go. Genuinely, the last thing I built was that mound monster, and I'm really happy with that. But then next week I might hate it. Do you spend too much time in your own head overthinking things? Yeah, I do. Don't you? I mean, does everyone? I mean, can you imagine being that person that doesn't overthink things and can just get... It's like ignorance is bliss, isn't it, I guess? You know, from a comment to an edit choice I've made? Why have I only got so many likes there? Or who's that one person that dislikes all my videos, guaranteed every time? But yeah, I spend too much time in my head overthinking everything. I remember when I was a kid thinking like, am I walking funny? Like, am I eating funny? I'm second guessing how I would pick something up, or I would, my hair constantly. When I was a kid, I'd be like constantly checking my hair. That sounds like vanity, but really it's insecurity. Like, no one really cares what your hair looks like, Bill. No one heard your voice go up an octave there. No one heard it. No one cares, apart from you. And that's overthinking it. I think everyone does it. What's the ratio between filming, crafting and editing? Let's say a 2-week period. About a third of it is the build and 2/3 of it is the edit. And then that very last day is me doing voiceover and doing pieces to camera in here. The edit takes a while. And it's not just clipping things, putting it together. It's color grading, it's sound mixing, it's stopgap animation. I tend to do a lot of stopgap animation. And it takes some time. It takes a lot of time. Have you started working on that giant scratch-built bot? No, not yet. But that's the first thing I'm going to build when I get my camera sorted. When I get enough money to buy that camera, I'm building a bot about... I've got to be honest, I was inspired by Studson Studios' How's Moving Cast. I'm like, he scratch-built something that big. Why haven't I scratch-built something that big? I could. I've got so many bottles and I've got so much... Look, I'll show you some of my junk, how much I've got stored away. All these big bottles I never use for anything, so I need to kind of... If anything, it's a way to get rid of a lot of junk that I have. And it'd be fun. It'd be fun to greebly something that big, and put some lights in it. What do you do when you feel unmotivated and burnt out? I was thinking about this, and if I've ever been burnt out or unmotivated. And, you got a newborn child. Like, it's hard to know what you're burnt out about. Like, I'm burnt out about not having any energy or sleep. So I don't really have time to think about, like, oh, these episodes are getting me down. No, because this is a pleasure compared to that in there. So much shit. It's nice having a kid, but it's a different kind of nice. It's not a fun nice. I guess if I was like 20-year-old making videos, I'm like, I'm just not satisfied with what I don't feel like an artist, then yeah, I guess I would feel burnt out. But come on. I mean, I can appreciate this is one of the best jobs I could ever ask for, isn't it? I make crap and I film it and I have fun I actually enjoy editing for once, and you people like it. You like watching it, and that makes me happy. So no, I don't really feel burnt out. How do you get baking powder and super glue off your fingers? I tend to just wash it with warm water and soap. But I know you can do things like you can use Vaseline, can soften it up a bit. There are other things. You know what? I don't know why you're asking me. Just Google it, because I tend to just sit there and pick it for days, and I enjoy that. So I don't know. What's your dream project? I don't really have a dream project. I want to make that giant robot. It's always the next project is my dream project. I've got two projects I really want to make. There's one I want to make right now, but I can't because I feel like I need to do this robot project because Midwinter Minners did one the other week, and I'm like, I should have done it before he did it. I mean, it's typical. Whenever you come up with an idea, 5 other people have come up with the same idea. But his is a Warhammer orc thing, and it's really cool. But mine's going to be completely different to that. Yeah, I guess the answer is the dream project is always the next one. I'd get bored of it in a week anyway. I get bored of everything really quickly when I'm making it. Maybe a dream project would be to make a workshop like the Craftsman's workshop. If you've ever seen that, I guess my dream project is to make a really cool workshop that I can stand up in and move a camera tripod around without knocking it over and breaking the camera. Do you suffer from imposter syndrome? If you do, how do you deal with it? Yeah, and I do suffer from that. But I think most people who are creative suffer from that. I mean, say if I didn't have it, and I'm like, well, I've made this pencil, and it is the most perfect creation I could ever make. Why, I don't need to make anymore. I've done it. But the imposter syndrome in me is telling me like, nope, that's rubbish. Do something else. Maybe it's a good thing. I mean, it's not good when you're in I've been on film sets, and I feel like I'm trespassing. Like I do. I walk around a film set working. I feel like everyone's going to just like suddenly realise that he shouldn't be here. So my old business, like making videos and producing videos for companies, a lot of the people that work there blagged their way in because they didn't suffer from imposter syndrome. They were very good at selling themselves because they probably believed they were actually really good at something. But then they weren't very good at anything, but they were just very good at selling themselves. And I think if you've got imposter syndrome, you're not very good at doing that. I feel like the best way for me to deal with imposter syndrome is to just be honest with everyone. And it gets me in trouble. Like if something's boring, I'll tell them it's boring. If something's like, and job, people don't like to keep me around on a job because I'm very honest. I don't like to pretend that something is or isn't. And I tell people how it is, and that doesn't really work in the real world. But, here, me doing this, I don't have to pretend to anyone. I don't really have to pretend too much. I can be a miserable sod. And, you might see it as entertainment. I don't have to pretend to be that twat that it's like, hey guys, don't forget to sub and like and, smile and be happy all the time. Like, because who's happy all the time? And who wants to see someone who's happy all the time? The twats that blag their way into jobs. Those people. They like to see other people that look just like them. But, no. Anyway, short answer, yes, I suffer from imposter syndrome. Do you even know what OnlyFans is? I mean, yeah, it's a video only for fans. I mean, I don't really understand the question. I mean, I probably have to Google. I'll look it up. Oh.